speaker for tonight. I'm super excited to have her on board tonight. She's Maricris Bonzo. She's going to be talking us about how to build a community page with Svelte, Hasura and Magic. And I love that she's, by day advocating for developers at Magic by creating content, super great content, by the way. Be sure to follow her. And connecting with developers and closing the product feedback loop with the team. And by night, she's building a community called Blockchain Ladies Club for women who want to become trailblazers in the revolutionary space of Web3. And I have a topic for you for the next topic if you want. What is Web3? Because that's something that I didn't know myself and I'd love to know more. So there you go for next time. And with that, let's welcome everyone, Maricris Bonzo. Take it away.
Awesome, thank you. Am I allowed to present? Or?
Absolutely, okay. Yes.
Okay, yeah, I think what is Web3 is a great topic, and I would be so happy to present on that. Okay. Can y'all see my one window? Hopefully it's only one window.
Perfect.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Yeah. So don't need to do my intro because Floor did an amazing job at that. So hello, everybody. Thank you, Floor, for having me here today. And yes, we are going to build a community site. However, we're not going to include Hasura anymore. This will be an upgrade for later on talk. But we are going to include Svelte Kit and Magic. So we will move forward. Before we get started, though, I want to do a quick overview of what Svelte is. So as you can see, Svelte, it's actually more than just a UI framework. It's actually a compiler also. And it makes it really easy to write components, similar to how React helps us write components for web apps. So it's really cool. And these are the top 3 traits of Svelte. I say that Svelte uses a smarter programming language model than React because, as I mentioned, so instead of using a virtual DOM to track state changes and to re-render pages, Svelte avoids doing that. This is because I'm comparing it to React. So React, uses the virtual DOM, but the virtual DOM introduces a lot of unnecessary work for developers that could end up slowing the performance of their app. So what I mean by that is the React diffing algorithm is unable to identify which element in the DOM is a state that is actually prone to changes. So it has to go through every single element. And it's just like a lot of unnecessary work. So instead of using a virtual DOM like React, Svelte delegates the diffing work to the browser. So what this means is it puts on its smart compiler hat, and then it figures out what states could change in your app at build time. And then it finds those states, and then they pretty much, make those changes in those states only. And then Svelte turns your code into vanilla JavaScript code. So it's really cool. That's how it's smarter than React. And I feel like a lot of coders who are new to programming would fall in love with just starting with Svelte as their web framework or compiler. And that's because it's like all you need to know is HTML and CSS to get started. And then Svelte just makes it easy for you to understand their specific rule set in getting started. So it's really cool. And then, and it's also the sentiment I've seen around the Svelte community. And then last important trait about Svelte is that it is the fastest growing front-end JavaScript framework. So it was actually, who did the Stack, there was a Stack Overflow developer survey, and developers voted Svelte as the most loved framework, I think. And then React was voted as the most wanted. So who knows, maybe next year Svelte will be the most wanted and most loved. We just, it's going to be interesting to see how their momentum grows. Okay, so yeah, that is Svelte, right? And then if y'all don't know, there's also Svelte Kit. And Svelte Kit is pretty much just another web framework that can be built on top of Svelte. And so you can compare it. So if you wanted to compare it and understand it better, Svelte is pretty much like React, right? But it's kind of not, because it's, I would say, better. And then, excuse me, Svelte Kit is Next.js because it's more built for those who want to develop scalable web applications with, you know, the routing, with a routing based system. So that is Svelte. And we're not going to talk about Hasura today, but I'm just going to quickly say that Hasura helps you build your backend with graphical API and a PostgreSQL database with like this visual tool. And it's insane how easy it is. If you ever, I know we're in a Jamstack talk, so maybe like a lot of you haven't like, but if you've ever created or set up a GraphQL client side or server side for your app, it takes like, there's a lot of steps to do that. But with Hasura, they pretty much like make that so easy and so much faster for you. So you can build a backend in minutes rather than days. And like you have this dashboard where you can manage your data. So you can easily have others in your team contribute, you know? It's just really cool. I can't wait to talk about this with y'all, maybe in another Jamstack talk. And then lastly, we have Magic. And Magic, I actually work for Magic. And we provide a pluggable and plug and play and future-proof passwordless authentication. And I'll explain why it's future-proof in a bit. But we'll see in a bit that it requires like only a few lines of code to get started, you know, and it's really cool because that's what we love in Jamstack, right? Like being able to get to market quicker by outsourcing the utility tools that we don't want to focus on building ourselves. And then, so what I mean by future proof is that our team is specialized in blockchain-based identity and authentication. So what that means is, sorry, excuse me, I need to sneeze. Excuse me. What that means is when a user creates an account with, or let me reword that. When a user is authenticated by Magic, we generate a public and private key pair for them based on the blockchain that you choose. So it could be the Ethereum blockchain, right? And so that's their identity. You can think of it like, actually, I don't want to go too far into that, but it's just, you can think of it as a decentralized identity. And there's just a lot of innovative, there's a lot of innovations you can make with your app if you authenticate with Magic, you know, in the web, in the blockchain space. So if you have any questions about that, you can feel free to ask me, but just know that we're future proof. If you want to be able to adapt your app in the Web3 or blockchain space someday, you will have the option to do that if you authenticate with Magic. And we provide login methods, including email, SMS, social logins, and web authn. And because we are future-proof, we support over 15 blockchains, including Bitcoin and Ethereum. And all that means is like if a developer wanted to build a decentralized application on Ethereum blockchain, then they can authenticate with Magic. Okay. All right. So this isn't an call to action. It's just I wanted to show you all how I started building this sample app that I'm going to show. I just started learning about Svelte like 2 months ago. And I feel like this past week was the first time I really like dove into it. So I'm not like an expert in anything, but yeah, I wanted to show y'all how I'm learning. So I went to the Svelte kit homepage, and they provided these list of commands to for you to get like this template, this full fleshed out template of like that has like a routing system and everything. It's like a to-do app, you know. So what I did is I downloaded the template, and then I pretty much like followed another tutorial that one of our guest authors for Magic wrote up to build my site. And I'm not sharing it because there's some things that we're improving on that guide. So I will share it in like some kind of links that Fuller will share later. But yeah, this is what I started out with. And now I'm going to show y'all the actual code. Dun, 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 dun. Just kidding. I tested it. I will stop sharing this and share another screen. Okay. Let me see. Desktop one. Okay. All right. Let me go to my notes. Okay, so I hope y'all can see this. I think you can. So this is how the site looks. It pretty much looks very identical to the template. However, I changed it to be to match Magic. And it's a community site. So you have your homepage and the login page. And I'll get to why these two are here in a second. But I wanted to give you all a demo first, and then I'll walk you through the like main things that we should know about the code. So I'm gonna log in. Okay, so telling me to check my email, and I'm doing that in a separate browser, which you cannot see. And I'm clicking login to site. And once I'm logged in, I am taken to this events page. So pretty simple. And if I wanted to log out, I just click this button and takes me back here. So let's walk through, you know, the main things I needed to do to integrate Magic authentication into this Svelte app. So first thing I did is, this isn't the form, is I created the login page, right? So in Svelte, the login pages, it's kind of similar to Next.js, wherein for every file that you create under the routes folder, it is automatically a page of its own. So let's just focus on the login page for now. So this is how the join or login page looks. And the most important parts here that we need to know is that when the user clicks the login button, we call this function login, right? And in this function, we are making an API call that passes in the email address that we just typed in, right? So let me make this bigger, actually. Okay. All right. And let's follow this like data flow. So auth is being imported from you know, library/auth. So let's go into there and see what's going on in there. So in here, what we're doing is we are initializing, we're importing the Magic Sdk, which we installed using npm. And if you want to see, actually, let's just see the what is it? npm command we used to do that. So I'm just going to stop there real quick. And so this is the npm command we ran. And we're installing a bunch of things besides the Magic SDK. So, okay. We're installing the client-side Magic SDK, and we're also installing the Admin Sdk because there are parts of our app that calls the Magic SDK on the client side and then on the server side. And then we're also, we're not going to go into this part. It's to it's just going to help us do user or persist user sessions across our app, but that's not something we're going to delve into. But that's what we install first. And so that's why we're able to import the Magic SDK here and initiate it. And as you can see, in order to initiate it, we need the Magic public key, Magic public API key. That's what it's called. So these are the keys that we'll need. The Magic public API key, which we use for the client side SDK, and then the secret key for the server side. So where are we? We initialize Magic, right? And then what was it that we're calling here? So we're calling the login method that is in auth. So that login method is right here. We defined it right here. And all this is doing is creating an instance of the Magic SDK or the Magic object. And we are calling login with Magic. And we're passing in, so this is a method provided by Magic. And in order to use it, we pass in the email address. And once the user successfully logs in, they receive a DID token. So this is the token I was talking about, which will show the public address that you create. So maybe we'll show it in a bit. But yeah, if you look into it, you'll see the public address and the email address and what else? Other user metadata that Magic creates for you. And so once we get this DID token, we validate the DID token on an API endpoint that we defined in our API folder. But we validate it because we want to make sure that it's it's still fresh. So let's see. So if you go into the API and the login folder, the way we validate it is, let's see, right here. So we use another method that Magic provides called validate, and we just pass in the DID token that we sent over here. And when it's valid, then that means that we can go ahead and get the user metadata and then store this user metadata in the cookie so that we can remember who the user is across all the pages. So yeah, and that's pretty much it on the login side. And then, so like I said, I'm just going to go over the very important parts. And for the logout session, all we need to do is, so we're calling it in the logout page. Actually, we're not calling it in the logout page, sorry. We're calling it in the routes folder, which is a good segue because I haven't shared with y'all how we added the navigation bar. So the navigation bar is in here. So as you can see, here is the home link over here, and then events page, and so forth. So so I've added like if and else statements here to make sure that we're showing the right link, depending on whether or not the user has been logged in. And so when the user clicks the logout button, we actually call the logout API, which we defined here. And all this does is it removes the user metadata that we saved in the cookie. And then it also calls Magic's logout by logout by issuer method to make sure that the user has been logged out of the Magic authentication system. So this is good. And yeah, I feel like that is those are the most important parts of this app that I wanted to share with y'all. It's very easy to add Magic into there. We just needed to import and initiate the Magic SDK. And then we needed to use like a couple methods, right, to log the user in. And then what else I wanted to share? Yeah, actually, those are the most important parts. And yeah. Oh, one thing I wanted to share. Did I add it to my slide? Let me see. No, I didn't. But one thing I wanted to share with y'all is a challenge. So here, as you can see, we're able to log in, right, and log out. However, how about like the idea of gating, having a gated community, right? If I wanted to build a community website where only members can see the events and the resources for the community, then I would need to add some more logic to my code to ensure that only users who are logged in can see these two pages. So my challenge to you is do that with the code that I'll provide, and yeah, share it with me. So that's why I left these two unhidden. And with that, I am going to share just one more thing. I'm going to share screen. All right. So yeah, that's all I wanted to share. I just wanted to say thank you again for having me here today. And I hope, this sparked some curiosity for you on learning more about, Magic and Svelte. And if you ever want to learn about Magic, you can just go to this simple link, go.magic.link/Jamstack-Seattle. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you, Maricris. That was awesome. You got me super curious, that's for sure. So now I need to go learn all these things. So thank you. I've never played with Svelte before, and I was super curious about Magic. I always see you posting content about that, and it looks great. I a couple of things that I wanted to share as you were telling us everything, new thing for me. I did not know what a DID token meant, so I googled it, and apparently it's decentralized ID. There's actually a blog post, I think it is, from Magic that explains it really well. So there's that. Go look it up. We'll share all these links with you later. Yes, I wanted to ask you, if we want to learn more about all of this, what's the best resource that you recommend for learning about, the Web3 and blockchain and Magic and all this sort of like new type of authentication, right?
Yeah, I think the easiest way is to follow me on Twitter. So I'm going to share my screen again. Either go to Magic, because we provide lots of resources, or just follow me on Twitter, because I actually post I retweet a lot of like the stuff that Magic shares. And I also talk a lot about what I'm learning in Web3 and also Web2. It's just so much nowadays.
So much. Okay, cool. That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here. We super appreciate it, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you. You too.